everybody, welcome back to BenefitsCentral here, real quick with another real quick market update video for you guys. I'm Benjamin, and today Bitcoin and the S&P charts. Before I get right into the market, please leave a like, drop a comment, and if you can, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Honestly, today everybody, Bitcoin has been facing some resistance, although we did get a pump throughout yesterday. I do apologize for the quality for this video. I'm a bit in a rush, just kind of dealing with the Hurricane Ian. But still want to pump out some content for you guys. So I'm just going to go over briefly over the Bitcoin, over the Ethereum, over XRP, and over the S&P 500 just really quick. However, looking at Bitcoin just as of right now on the daily, you can tell that we ended up trying to range above our last high wicks. Lots of consolidation, obviously sideways to the downside, as we are in a descending channel, obviously. Whoops, excuse me. But we are still in this descending channel. As of right now, it looks like we are bottoming out, almost forming a W, and then leading us into our weekly. This is our bigger W formation, obviously leaving a doji that would leave us with a bull 180 if we can get enough momentum and the bulls can come in with enough momentum. As you can tell, we didn't get that to happen immediately with that doji. That ended up being a little less of momentum, just low volume. And then now with this weekly that we ended up starting to form, today is Wednesday, we do have a lot of more momentum headed towards the upside. However, I can still see this pivot to the downside if we end up tapping our 20 moving average for the weekly. It's more looking like 22,000 if we end up tapping that and then getting a rejection if we can't have enough momentum to end up closing above that. If anything, we could end up wicking and touching our 200 moving average at the best. However, looking at the monthly, you can tell that we did end up getting that massive GBI formation as well as being in the descending channel. Cryptos do look like they are headed to the further to the downside. However, looking at this a little closer, you can tell that we are getting losses of bullish momentum, and that a lot more bearish momentum is flooding into the markets. Obviously, with Powell and a few more negative impacts and events that are in the market are going to end up pushing this market to the downside a little further, obviously. But before this ends up happening, I can see and point out a good formation and pattern right now. We did have that GBI that wanted to continue. However, it didn't have enough strength. There was uncertainty in the markets about whether we're bearish or bullish, and Powell didn't come out as hawkish. Then we stayed above this GBI formation, which gave a lot of people hope that this was going to turn into an RBI formation, try to bottom this market out and push us past our 50 moving average for the week, or for the monthly, excuse me. But that didn't happen, and then we ended up going and rejecting off of our 50 moving average, forming a doji. Now this can either mean that we are bottoming out here completely and this is the start of our W, and this month we end up seeing a recovery back to our 50 moving average and pushing much further. But if that doesn't happen and we get rejected off our 50 moving average around 23,000 for Bitcoin, then we will end up seeing this being a pivot for a GBI, and we will see Bitcoin and cryptos go much further, most likely to our last support levels, which is around 11,500 to around 12,500 for the Bitcoin versus USD for right now, just because what is going on inside the markets and how this is necessarily setting up. We are oversold on the monthly, well, realistically on every time frame except for the shorter time frames, but realistically we are oversold, and we do need to see some momentum kind of reset the RSI. Not too bad on the daily.
Have a good day.
You too, man. Appreciate you. And not too bad realistically on the monthly. However, we should end up anticipating some momentum going to the downside. But jumping into Ethereum just real quick, looking at the daily for everybody, we do have a lot more momentum headed to the downside as we broke our 200 moving average. This is obviously our 15 minutes, but I did want to show you guys the momentum that we're having inside the markets. Jumping into the daily real quick for everybody, we do have the same similar patterns that are setting up for Bitcoin as well as for Ethereum and XRP and Shiba and Doge, just because everything is not even mildly consolidating. We're in extreme consolidation, low candles, low wicks, not a lot of volume. But obviously we are getting this bear 180 or an attempt for a bear 180 in the daily, although our daily will end around 5 to 6, so we do have to see how today ends up closing. However, we did get a flash pump yesterday. I'm not too sure why. However, a lot of people did end up catching it and anticipating it just because of how we were rounding out at that bottom with this doji. Ended up pushing us pretty far with this bull 180. and then ended up pushing us a little bit further past our 20 moving average, although that we didn't get too far past that, as the bearish momentum ended up rejecting off of that, looking like a double top, and pushing us much further down into lower lows for Ethereum. But as of right now, we ended up bottoming out right here, forming a W for, as of right now, at around our supports for the last months, past few weeks, realistically, at around 1250 for Ethereum. So as long as we can end up holding this level for Ethereum, then I do believe that we should end up having enough momentum to continue to the upside, as this was a higher low, and we should anticipate that we continue this pattern and end up breaking bullish. However, like I've said, descending channels end up breaking bullish and ascending channels end up breaking bearish, just more to the opposite sides. However, looking at this, we are trying to form our descending channel. Once again, we have our big descending channel that we've been in for months, and then we have our temporary one, which we've been in for, I would say, a few weeks, maybe a month at the max, and we should end up breaking this here soon. We are getting to the end of this soon, so this is good news. However, I don't like that we ended up coming back down to test support. Just like I said, the more that we test support for certain stocks and assets, the more that it has more power to end up eventually breaking through that, and that's not necessarily what we'd like to see for the rest of the crypto market as of right now. Excuse me, we have seen a lot of momentum obviously to the downside, and we'd like to see some more to the upside, but as of right now, just because of how hawkish the market is and how Powell and realistically a few icons that we have impacting the market, it's not necessarily giving us a break to have enough momentum to go to the upside and get that volume pushed to the upside. A lot of people are fearful, as well as Florida just went through a hurricane, so it's not necessarily a great time to be pumping the markets as of right now. More of a consolidation period. Not a lot of whole action coming into the markets. Like I said, we did get that small pump, but that's not necessarily anything. Realistically, we went up just 50 points. Nothing too crazy. If anything, I believe that's 2%, 5% that we went up yesterday, and came right back down 25%. So not too much. Like I said, a whole bunch of consolidation. But I did want to show you guys the S&P 500 before I do decide to leave for today. Obviously, we've been in this descending channel for months for the S&P 500. Obviously, as we're headed towards newer lows. Obviously catching this right here at 3,500. Our last low was around, I would say, 3,650. Ended up making it another 150 points, making a new low. However, if we have enough momentum, as we've spiked right above that, trying to reset the RSI, trying to touch our moving indicators or moving averages, as long as we can continue this to the upside, then I do think that we have bottomed out for the S&P 500, at least for right now, a temporary bottom, just because of our massive spike of momentum and volume, and as well as us forming a W on our RSI at the 30, just a temporary bottom in the daily, just to show that some temporary relief in the market at least. But other than that, realistically, looking at the weekly, we did jump and touch our 200 moving average, which gave us enough momentum to get that bull 180 going. However, today's Wednesday, and we still have a lot of momentum to see inside the markets. If anything, we could see that this weekly at max, if we have enough volume, we can touch 4,000 for the S&P 500, around 3,950 at best, before we end up seeing some sort of rejection towards the downside before we even touch or retest the top of our descending channel that we're in as well. Remember what the S&P 500 does, the crypto does as well. They correlate pretty well. They have very big sympathy plays that they follow each other, and obviously what the DXY does, crypto and the S&P 500 do the opposite of. So before I go real quick, I'm just jumping into the DXY just to show you guys. We did have massive amounts of spikes in the DXY, jumping all the way to 113. Honestly, 14 points over what we originally should have been, and what a lot of people like this percentage to be around. However, we ended up spiking, causing crypto to massively dump, as well as the Powell being extremely hawkish inside the markets. But other than that, realistically, we did get massively overbought, had to come back down and retest at least for support. If we can't hold that for support, I do anticipate that we will find some new lower lows for the DXY, unless realistically we come out for our CPI reports for this month, obviously from last month's reports. See how that comes out. If it comes out higher than expected, then we will see that the markets will end up tanking further. If it comes out lower than expected, then obviously we might end up getting a bit of a relief inside the crypto market. But other than that, that was just another quick market update video for you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.